Hello everyone, welcome back to Debating for America's Youth. Today we have another awesome guest. Today I'm interviewing Isaac Appelbaum, who has a bunch of achievements in congressional debate, including being a finalist at the Harvard Congressional Debate Tournament and being third at the University of Pennsylvania's National Tournament. Welcome, Isaac.
I think the main thing that you can do that will make you stand out in a congressional debate round is showing your versatility. So what I mean by this is that versatility means that you can present your speech in late round scenarios, or you can present them in early round. You can give crystals, you can give authorships. Just being the most well-rounded legislator is really important to standing out, because the thing is, judges don't want to see, what you call like a one-trick pony, right? They want to be able to see that you have versatility in your argumentation, your delivery, and you can give different speeches at different times and execute them just as well. So usually my process is I find out really basic information about the topic that I'm presenting on. So for instance, if it were the minimum wage, I'd research the minimum wage, what the minimum wage is right now. I would research different laws concerning the minimum wage in the states and the federal government, and then I'd get down all that basic information. I try to find what arguments I'd have, and when I'm writing my speeches, I try to have speeches prepared for any scenario by having an extensive background knowledge on the issue. Not only am I just preparing for giving an early round speech or a late round speech, I'm preparing for the round as a whole, and I'm getting ready to interact with other arguments through the extent and base of my knowledge. Yeah, so usually the main way you can be successful in a congressional debate round is by having the most extensive background knowledge on any given issue, right? So if you get an issue or a policy, right? Let's just say, for instance, it's the wealth tax, right? That Senator Elizabeth Warren presents, right? If it were a bill to implement the wealth tax, right? I would start with defining the policy. What is a wealth tax? What are different proposals of the wealth tax? What does the bill say about the wealth tax? And then how do those policies affect actual things going on in the real world? Meaning, I take a look at journals, academic journals, I take a look at think tanks who have done research on that thing. And what I like to do is I like to do a lot of dense reading on the issue. So that doesn't mean like quick news articles, although you can skim news articles for basic information. You need to do in-depth reading, and sometimes a lot of a lot of coming up with different arguments through the dense reading that you can do on a certain topic. I don't recommend doing this for every single topic, but it's really important that you have a very good knowledge base on any given issue, and then through that you can create your arguments and make sure that you're the most knowledgeable person in the round. So starting out research means doing the background information first, getting down some key concepts, different pros and cons, and then going in depth to those pros and cons and making sure that you're looking at very scholarly articles, not just skimming news sites like CNN or MSNBC, because they'll give you the political spin, but you want the actual policy and how it works. The key thing is starting early. When the bills come out, it's usually 2 weeks, and in the case of NSDAs, it's a month before the tournament. It's really important to organize how you're going to do it. So usually what I do is I kind of organize it with stuff that I know most about first, and then I go to stuff that I don't know much about. So usually I'll put the stuff I already kind of know about off to the side, and I'll reapproach it later. And then if I have other stuff that I don't know much about, that's where I'll start, and I'll start organizing it based off that, and I'll go down the list of the bills, which ones are priority and which ones I already know something about, something that I can point to or attach to my speech. Maybe it's even a previous speech with cards that I can still use that are still relevant, although I don't encourage recycling speeches. Some of those cards might still be reliable, still credible, so you can use those to your advantage, but then you need to start with the stuff that you don't know much about. And when it comes to, a lot of the dense reading and stuff, it's not so much about that you have to spend every waking minute, reading over all these overlong articles. There's different tools you can use to make sure that you're only getting the important information. It could be literally as something as simple as Control F, and you're looking for the topic within that article, that dense PDF that you have there, that you can actually find the information you're looking for quicker, but it will give you a better explanation and it will give you a larger knowledge base. Oh, I held myself to this really high standard junior year and a little bit in senior year, where I held myself to the standard where I needed to practice my speech over and over again. And honestly, I cannot say that that works for everybody, especially for me, because when I mess up one little thing in my speech, I tend to start rambling. And that's not good at all because the judge wants to hear that you are speaking conversationally, that you're speaking in a tone of voice where you're not necessarily have this memorized presentation, but you have something where you're talking to the judge instead of talking at them. It's really important, and that's another thing that could help you stand out in congressional debate rounds is having conversations with the judges instead of lecturing them on different issues. And notice how in when you're talking to your friends, you often don't make any fluency errors, you often don't mess up unless you're really nervous about something, right? In the case of your speeches, approach it like not the judges are your friends, but that the judges are people you're having conversations with. You'll notice then that you'll have less fluency breaks, you'll speak more extemporaneously, and you'll overall give the judge a better reason to vote for you just based off your demeanor. It depends on the speech, definitely, because when you're giving questions, you want to make sure that you know what you're talking about. You want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success in a questioning block. Because if it's direct questioning or even indirect questioning, the main goal is getting them to admit that their point is either wrong or in some ways flawed, right? And you do that by basically going down like a logical line where you can say we're in direct questioning specifically in those semifinal final rounds where you end up using direct questioning. You want to be able to somewhat trap them in their logic. So you approach their logic with the same way that you would approach yours, right? You think about it, you see if it's valid, and if it isn't, you can attack them on that. But the main important thing is be respectful, but make sure you're going down the line of questioning so you set yourself up basically. And there's ways you can do this, right? You can have a question ready where you literally know the answer to your question, but you want to hear them say it. So if you're saying, will this do so and so? And they say yes. And then you say, okay, so this will happen. And they say yes. And then you say, but what about this? And then they say yes. And then they eventually get to the point where they literally cannot defend themselves. And that's a really important questioning strategy because I think it shows the judge that even the person who's being questioned is not 100% sure about their arguments. It's important in a question block to be 100% sure about your logic and your arguments.